Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next Photoshop tutorial. Now we're going to move on to our next classwork exercise, which is exploring the quick selection tool. We're going to talk about the very specific and powerful tool that you will be using a lot through the rest of this course. So the quick selection tool is where we can select subjects out and put them onto new backgrounds. So download the exercise files for today. As I mentioned, I will no longer walk you through the downloading process. I'm sure you've got the hang of it by now. So download all of your exercise files, put them into a project folder like we always do, and then open them up in Photoshop. Open up all quick select exercise files. So if you have not done that already, pause this video if you need to so you can download the files and get them open in Photoshop, and let's get started. So what we're going to do with these, I provided you several files of objects and several files of backgrounds, and we're going to put the objects onto new backgrounds. So we're going to select these out. So the way you're going to select yours is going to be over here with the quick selection tool, as you see right here. Yours might be something else. It might say object selection tool or magic wand tool. Remember that a lot of these tools are in groups right here, just like we practiced with the shape tool and some of the other tools. If you see the object selection, click and hold, you want the quick selection. You don't want the selection brush. You don't want that one. You want the quick selection tool. So what the quick selection tool does is it's a little circle. It's one of the brush types. So what we can do here, if we go to this circle right here in this little drop down, we can change the hardness and the size just like we do with a brush. We don't want this one to be at 0% hardness or else it won't work. And we don't always want it at 100 either, because then sometimes it's too strong. I like to set it somewhere between 80 and 90. Somewhere in that zone is usually the sweet spot. So let's leave it there. The size will depend on the size of the object. So just like our brush, the shortcut to change the size is those bracket keys next to the letter P on your keyboard. If you tap the bracket keys, you can make your brush size bigger and smaller. So whatever you're selecting, it needs to be smaller than the object to fit within the object. So let me explain what that means. So right now I'm going to start selecting this duck. So I need to start by clicking inside the duck like this. If I click, you'll see what happens just now. It started making this selection right here. You see dotted lines. Anywhere you see the dotted lines mean that is selected. As I continue to very slowly creep out and click some more, my selection is expanding. It's getting a little bit bigger. I can click here. And I can also click, hold, and drag my mouse a little bit, and the selection will grow. If I click, hold, and drag slightly, you can see it's growing until it looks like that. So as you expand your selection, you'll see it grows, and it starts grabbing what it determines as a line between the colors. So it did a pretty good job. There's a couple spots I need to clean up. So if I zoom in, you can see the spots I need to fix right around here. So like this spot is a spot that I need to fix where it grabbed the shadow. I don't want it to grab that. So the way I can fix that is to negative select. So up here, if you go to the very top, you can see there's a brush with a plus button that says add to selection, and next to it is a minus that says subtract from the selection. So if I choose the subtraction one and I come down here, might need to make my brush a little smaller. It's okay to change your size as you go. If I click here, it subtracts from it. You see how the selection got smaller? Click here like that. And now I can click and drag back and forth to deselect this area because I don't want this part selected. And as you're getting used to the tool, it might be a little tricky. You might accidentally click like that and go too far, and that's okay. We can fix that again. So as I start deselecting this part, I don't want the shadow. So I need to fix this part now. It went too far in. So now I just go back and forth. Now I go back to the plus to add to my selection, and I click over there. And a lot of it is just this back and forth. So getting close and kind of just guiding the line. What you're doing is you're kind of just pushing the line away. I'm clicking and holding and just moving my circle towards that line to push the selection to where I want it to be. What it's doing is it's looking for lines. You can see right here it made the selection really easily because it's easy to go between the yellow and the white. But right here where the shadow comes in, it's just a blurry yellow line. So the quick selection doesn't really know where to go. The shortcut to edit a little bit faster, I like to give you shortcuts to make it easier. Instead of going back and forth, so if I have to negative select this, instead of going negative, positive, back and forth, you can use the Option button on your keyboard as a shortcut. So if I hold the Option button, look what happens up here when I hold the Option button. It switches to the negative. If I let go, it goes back to positive. Option, no option, option, no option. So instead of clicking back and forth, I can just switch to negative right away by holding Option, and now I'm deselecting right here. And if I need to fix it again, I let go. Now I'm back on positive selection, and now I fix it again. So you just go through to make sure your selection is clean. Give it a once over, going around, making sure it looks pretty good. No areas need to fix. I could tell I need to fix this area right here. So let's fix that. Just very gently clicking to kind of make my selection go right where I want it to be. All right, that's looking good. Excellent. So now my duck selection is pretty clean. So now I'm going to copy it out to paste it somewhere else. So before, when I showed you how to copy paste, I had you do Command A to select all. That selected the entire thing. We don't need to do that. I've selected the duck. Whenever you see these dotted lines, it means I've selected this area. So it's already selected. So now I'm just going to hit Command C to copy. And let's go over to Quick Select 02 and Command V to paste. So here's my duck in his new home, in his new background, having a good time. You can use the Move tool if you need to make any adjustments or move him around. But let's give him a little something to make him stand out a little bit more. Because right now he looks really flat. He doesn't look like he's actually there on the wall. Let's give him a drop shadow. Click on the layer. Let's go to FX. And let's give him a drop shadow. Gives him a little bit more of a 3D element. So just like we did before, you can play with the distance and the spread just to make him look like he's standing out a little bit better and not flat against the wall. Awesome. That looks good. I think he's happy in his new home. Perfect. Let's do the same thing. I'll walk you through one more example. We're going to quick select out the lollipop and put it on number 4 right here. So let's go back to our quick selection tool. As I mentioned before, start on the inside. It's easier to start with a bigger brush on the inside and work your way out. So if I click in here, I can start slowly branching out towards the edges. As I mentioned, the quick select tool, it looks for lines. So it's seeing where there's obvious lines, and that's what it starts to follow. That's why it starts following the shape like this. So just very slowly start working your way out towards the edges. Just very lightly clicking and holding, gradually clicking and holding, letting go of your mouse. Don't hold your mouse the entire time. You want to do it in small little clicks. In case you have to take a step backwards or undo, you don't have to undo a lot. Just do a little bit, get those edges. I made it slightly challenging. I got to fix it right there. Hold Option negative and fix that. Good. Make sure when you're doing your selections that you're zooming in so you can really see that your selection looks clean, and adjusting your brush size as needed. Remember, your brush size needs to be smaller or thinner than the object you're trying to select. If my brush size is like this while I select the stem, it's too big. So watch, if I click like this to select, it's selecting too much. It's branching out from the outside of my circle. Let's Command Z to undo. Make sure that your brush size is thinner or smaller than the object you're trying to select. So it needs to be skinnier like this than the stem. So now if I start selecting down the stem, you can see that it's staying within the lines now. So start with a bigger brush inside and then gradually make it smaller when you get to the smaller areas. Perfect. So once you have your lollipop selected, if you're still selecting, that's fine, but select it, and then once you've completed your selection, Command C to copy. And let's go over to Quick Select 4 and Command V to paste. You can move it, like I said, go to your Move tool, and you can adjust it a little bit to fit better, maybe right there. And let's give this a drop shadow as well, just to make it stand out a little bit more. There. I like that. Looking good. So what I want you to do on the remaining exercise files, you'll see here you have Quick Select 5 through 16. You have a lot right here. So on 5 through 10, this one, the shoe, the T-Rex, the burger, the sweater, the chocolate bar, the flower, all of these, Quick Select 5 through 10, I want you to select all of these out and put them on new backgrounds, which is going to be files 11 through 16. So you see files 11 through 16 are all different background areas where you're going to put them. So select out each subject and give them a new home, excuse me, a new home of your choosing. Whichever one you want, it's up to you. You can put the flower in the flower field or the T-Rex in the bedroom or on the parking space, whatever you like to do. Have fun, just mix it up. You can even combine multiple ones if you want. If you want to have the T-Rex and the burger on the same background, that's totally fine. Or the shoe and the flower in the same background, that would be fine as well. Just practice quick selecting and getting them on there. Make sure that you don't get the negative space. So if I select the shoe like that, and if I'm trying to select the shoe, make sure you get the shoelaces. If I copy this and put it here, I can see that I missed a spot, and I got this white area right here too. I don't want that. So make sure when you are selecting that you deselect these certain areas right here. So go into the white spaces and deselect the gaps right here. Hold Option and deselect in here so you don't get this part. You want to just get the shoe cleanly. Okay? So have fun selecting all these out, putting them on new backgrounds. Take screenshots of all of your edited spaces. You don't need to take screenshots of the blank ones. I don't need a screenshot of the duck by itself. I want to see the object on its new background. So only take screenshots of the objects on their new backgrounds and turn those in. Okay? Have fun. Let me know if you have any questions.